I am here to talk about Piglet, and I am here to talk about how I am DNFing Piglet. So let's get into it. All right, so I read about 146 pages, so almost but not quite halfway through Piglet, and I wanted more. I wanted something. I also words. I actually think I wanted something different, and I was expecting something different from this because in the synopsis, let's just talk a little bit about what the synopsis says. So Piglet is about this woman whose name is Piglet. We never actually learn her real name. Well, not in the pages that I read anyway. So she's Piglet. She cooks a lot. She cooks these really grand meals and like is really bougie when it comes to food, but she also has come from this small town and her parents don't really have a lot of money in general, and she ends up engaged to this man who comes from wealth. They're like really wealthy people, and so now she like feels some type of way about her family and is like ashamed of them. She'll use these like dinner parties or like meals that she cooks for the people in her life to kind of show, hey, like I have come up, I've arrived, I am, bougie now. I have this great life that's better than yours. And like, me and my fiance, we are like perfect, and we have this like perfect cookie cutter family. And so, yeah, all of that. And then we get to this point where Piglet's fiance tells her this secret. You can kind of infer what the secret is, but they didn't just come out and say what happened. But I think he cheated on her, or maybe had like a whole side relationship, but that's just me guessing, and from the hints that they gave. So he told her that, and this is like 2 weeks out from the wedding, and she was like, okay, we're just gonna go on like nothing happened, but we still gonna get married because like I have, I'm used to a certain lifestyle that I can only have with you. Like I can't have it by myself, and I'm definitely not going back to that small town with my parents, like, and like tucking my tail. Not doing it, not happening. So she tries to go on and act like nothing's happening, but she is slowly but surely unraveling. And it's also supposed to be a story about Piglet continuously wanting more. Like she's never satisfied, and I think that's kind of where the food comes in with that. She's never satisfied. She's always hungry, always wanting more. And I just feel like you can do that and show that without using disordered eating, because that's what's happening a lot in this book. There's a lot of disordered eating, of course, from Piglet herself, but then how she even got the name Piglet. And I don't want to go into much because it ain't much plot, so anything that I say could be spoiler. But yeah, this is just very like focused on disordered eating in not a way that I want to read. And then also just like Piglet was very annoying, and I felt for her. I felt bad for her. I understood like where she was coming from to a certain extent. She was also like a very like the type of person who needs people to need her, and if they don't like necessarily need her, or she feels like they don't, then she's like freaking out and like and like she needs a lot of attention. And yeah, I think the simplest way to say this is that I just didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't see how the author was going to redeem Piglet in this story in a way that would have satisfied me. So I saved myself some time and let it go. Yeah, it just, and that's what happens when you take a chance on books. Like I knew this was like either gonna be hit or miss, and it was a miss, but I am glad that I tried it. I do like literary fiction books, but I still have not found what my thing is yet. So this wasn't it. So, but I'll keep trying because I have enjoyed some, and I still want to figure out what my taste is in lit fic. So anyway, yeah, next book. judge me for looking a little busted. I'm feeling a little busted. I am recovering from a flare up, I guess you could call it, but I was out for a couple days. And during those couple of days, I didn't have much to do besides read. So what I do, I read a few books. A few books were read. And I think I'm finally at a place where I can talk about them. The first book I read during this crash out was Looking by Katrina Jackson, and this was a polyamorous erotic novella. In this, we have a married couple, and they're in their late 30s, early 40s, and they are wanting to keep their marriage and relationship interesting. So they go on this dating site for couples looking for a third. And through this, they find, is her name Jasmine? I don't know. I think her name is Jasmine. Let me look that up because I don't want to be wrong, because I need to say names to keep everybody separated. So let's just go look. LOL, I'm glad I looked it up because I was wrong. Her name is Jordan. Close enough with the J, but me and character names, whatever. We have the couple, Darren and Nadia, and they both think that they will like Jasmine's. So they start having conversations and things. Another level to this relationship is that Nadia is just now discovering that she might be bisexual. She's not even really sure. She just, is exploring that, as well as having to navigate her and her husband opening up their relationship as well. So all the things, but they both really like Jordan, and Jordan is just this very fun, outgoing type person who loves life, all the things. So yeah, we just watched them build a relationship, and I ended up giving this 3.5 stars, I think. And that's mainly just because, in all honesty, I was comparing it to Treble by Rousey Adams that I read back in August. Well, I reread back in August, and that's one of my 5 stars. And it might not have been fair for me to compare it to Treble, but the plots are so close that I just could not. And what I didn't get from this one was the connection to the characters and the way that I could feel their actual feelings for each other, because yes, it was saying that they had feelings for each other and showing like little cute moments or whatever, but I feel like we got more spicy scenes than we did. Did my camera just move? Anyway, I feel like we got more spicy scenes than we did actual moments of feelings. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. I just kind of wish we got to see them grow together more, especially since the epilogue jumped. And I'm like, for a novella, I feel like we didn't have to jump that far into the future and what was happening. I don't know. I just didn't connect with it the same way that I did Trouble, and I think I'm just going to have to leave it at that. But I have read some other Katrina Jacksons, and I don't know. I think I have felt the same way about her other novellas that I've picked up, is that I'm wanting more of the relationship and seeing how that grows, as well as the sexual relationship. Like, give me both. You can give me both in a novella. Like, it's possible. Give me both. That's all I want. So, yeah. Anyway, read Looking, and then I listened to A Game of Gods by Scarlett St. Clair, and this is the 3rd and final book in the Hades saga, but it is the 6th book in the overall Hades and Persephone saga. Yeah. So there's not much that I can say about this book, obviously, with it being where it is in the series. But what I will say is that I'm going to stand by Scarlett should have just given us 600-page books. with both POVs. I think that reading them separately just isn't, it's not going to give because, yeah, I just, and here's the thing, I like Hades' perspective. I feel like it really adds to the story, but it essentially feels like you're reading the same books over and over. And I think that's where it could have benefited from being in the same book so we can get both of their thoughts at the time the event is happening, not reading all of Persephone and then going back and reading all of Hades. And also, we did get some new POVs in this, and I was really excited about that. Um, and I think that carries into the last book in the series, which is A Touch of Darkness. And I plan on picking that up in October and finally finishing out this series as a whole. I feel like it's been a long time coming, mainly because I had to reread all of them to get to this point because I read them so long ago. But yeah, I had a good time with this, but because of the repetitive nature of it, I feel like I couldn't give it more than a 3.5 star. I just don't feel like it's enough plot to have them separated. So, yes, but I still enjoy the series and I still would recommend it. I think it's a fun time, but just knowing all that going in. And then I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing one, and I don't think that I am. So I think we move into the last of the Crash Out Chronicles, and that is me reading the entirety of Heartless Hunter. And let's talk about her because she has been floating around the book community. Floating is a light term. This book has been basically shoved down everybody's throat because everybody's reading it, everybody's living it. I haven't heard a person say a bad thing about Heartless Hunter, and I can agree. This was a good time. But it's hard to say that I had a good time with this book. Let me tell you why. I liked it. Let me just go ahead and preface this conversation with that. I really enjoyed this book. I had a great experience. Okay, this made me anxious. And it made it hard for me to pick this up because I was so anxious while I was reading it. Like there was a certain point where I had to like skip ahead and like skim a little bit to make sure that everybody was gonna be okay, to then go back and like fully read. Because I look, Gideon and Rune had me going through it. Your girl was struggling. I was so scared. I didn't know what was gonna happen, and it just made me anxious as heck. Like I was tense the entire time reading this. And I mean, I guess it's a good thing that this book is like making me have, all of these reactions and stuff. But going through it was going through it. I was going through it. Um, yeah. So yeah, my thoughts on this book. Let me just say that I, I figured out that big explosive part at the ending about an identity. I figured it out and I was so proud of myself. I was like, oh my god, like was it a couple pages before it was actually revealed? That doesn't matter. I still figured it out, okay? And I was just like, Kristen, that was pretty good. That was a good twist. I wasn't expecting that. But when I went, like, once I was starting to see the pieces come together and I was going back and I'm like, girl, you gave us crumbs. Like, you wanted us to pick this up. And I was so anxious about what was happening between Gideon and Rune that I couldn't even see it. And they couldn't even see it. And I think that was part of it as well. Like, they were so caught up in what each other had going on that they couldn't even see what was like right under their nose in the bigger picture of it all. Crazy. Now, this love triangle situation, and I would air quote triangle because is it really? Is it really? Mm-hmm. I found myself rooting for Gideon and Rune, and I am going into the second book, The Rebel Witch, I think it's called, that's coming out in February. I'm going into that hoping and praying that they find some way to come back together. And I just want them to be together. Like I need it. I need it. Like the brief moments where they were just people and not a witch and not a witch hunter, but just like Rune and Gideon. Oh, I ate it up. I ate it up. I did. It was just it was good. This definitely high stakes had me on my toes the entire time. Yeah, it was fun. Anxious fun. And so I ended up giving this a 4 star. I had a great time with this. I just feel like I don't know why it's not a 5. I don't know. It is it. I didn't get the 5 star feels. I think that's it. And I think just how anxious I was reading this. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I really like this though. I'm really, really excited. And maybe upon reread, when my nerves can be calm, it might be a 5 star. But for now, but for now, is it a 4.5? Hmm. You know what? I think I'm gonna bump it up to 4.5 because not many books get physical, visceral reactions from me. And the way that the stakes in this were so high, and I cared so much about both Rune and Gideon, and I just wanted them both to be happy, and I wanted them both to get what they wanted, even though that was impossible because somebody has to lose in the situation. I just really wanted that for them. I don't know. I'm gonna sit on it. It's either a 4 or a 4.5, but I'm gonna sit on it for a little bit. And when I come back to wrap up this whole chaotic video, I will let you know for sure what I have settled on. But yeah, great time. The hype was real. This was so good. I love when I am surprised that the hype, is warranted in a book, and this is one of those, and I'm very happy about it. Anyway, okay. So yeah, that was me in a few days just rotting and in the middle of a flare up and crashing out. The last book that will be featured in this vlog, because we have had way more than I planned, is going to be The Wolf. No. A Wolf Steps in Blood by Tamara, Jeree. And I am like 45 pages into this. And of course, as you can see, it's a little novella. I don't even think it's 200 pages, so I should be able to finish this soon. But yeah, I just need a little quick zone, a little hop in, hop out moment. And this is a fantasy romance that follows this girl named Yasmin, who is a wolf. And the wolves in this community had to make a bargain with witches so that they would not get killed off and become extinct. And so Rune, no, not Rune. Ugh, Heartless Hunter is still in my head. Yasmin lives in this very small town in Alabama. She works at a diner and just, is pedaling through life. And she doesn't exactly feel a connection with her wolf. She doesn't feel like she's good at being a wolf. And, she even refers to it as the wolf and not like as a part of her. It's like a separate entity from her instead of being, a part of her. And trying to see what I can say. Okay, so then this blood witch shows up, and her name is Kalta, and immediately Yasmin is drawn to Kalta, and she doesn't really understand why, but there's just like this immediate attraction, this immediate thing that's like tethering her to Kalta. And we had a little sapphic romance, and it's cute. So we got a little werewolf witch romance, and it's she's cute. She's a little spicy. Know that going in. She's spicy. She's adult. But I am having a really good time with this, and I can't wait to finish it. And it shouldn't take me long. And once I am done with this book, we will wrap up this whole chaotic mess. So yeah, I'll be back soon. I'm back, y'all, and that is because I have finished A Wolf Steps in Blood, and this was not what I was expecting. So, first of all, I am not a wolf girly, usually at all. I am not a werewolf girly. I don't really care about werewolves. Like, they're just not my non-human creature of choice. But I felt like I could look past that for this, and I wanted to pick it up because it still sounded interesting to me. So I went into it, and I had a really good time. This was actually like a really cool story, and I could overlook, I guess you could say, the wolfy parts that I didn't really care about. But there were wolf parts that I cared about. I know how that sounds, but it's the truth. So, like I was mentioning earlier, our main character, Yasmin, was struggling to connect to her wolf. She didn't feel like she was good at being a wolf, you know? And there was this moment in this scene where she finally became one with her wolf. And it was so emotional and just I was so proud of her, and I felt so good that she finally got to, accept herself for who she was. And I just loved Kalta and Yasmin's relationship in general. They were just really cute. I really liked them. And I liked the journey that they had together, and them just learning to trust themselves and accept the different parts of themselves, and how life didn't exactly turn out how they expected, but they did find each other. And I was under the impression that this was going to be like a quest type situation, that they were going in search of something to find somebody or something, but that's not what happened. So when I was reading, it was 30 pages left, and I was like, okay, so when is this going to happen? We only got a few pages left. What are we going to do? And the story took a turn, and I guess I liked the way the story ended. I personally just don't think that Yasmin's mom should have gotten a happy ending, because she was an awful person to Yasmin, and she treated her just awful and called her useless for things that were completely out of her control, and all because she was essentially just jealous of Yasmin. And I don't like that. That's not fair. That's not what a parent should do. And that's wrong. So that's all I'm gonna say. Gotta keep it vague. There's not that many pages, and I don't want to spoil anything. But I did end up rating this a 4-star. Like I said, I had a really good time. This was really great. I highly recommend. This is a werewolf and witchy sapphic romance, and I had a great time. Yeah. Anyway, now that wait a minute. Okay. So anyway, that brings us to the end of this video, and we can just do a quick recap, wrap up of everything that happened in this. Alright, so we started off reading Piglet and ended up DNFing that one. And then I ended up reading Looking, which was a 3.5 star. Really enjoyed that. And also went into A Game of Gods, and that was a 3.5 star. And then we read Heartless Hunter, which is a 4.5 star. I did end up settling on a 4.5. It feels right now. I think I was just having a moment. And finally, we wrapped this up with A Wolf Steps in Blood being a 4-star as well. So yeah, thank you for staying with me through this Crash Out Chronicles. I hope that you got some recommendations from this video. As always, you can leave me a recommendation in the comments. With all of that being said, I hope you have the best day that you possibly can, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Bye.